So Indiana. I'll admit the numbers are a tad closer than I expected. I was expecting Clinton to win Indiana by around 10 points, based on the reality that it's more conservative than Ohio. Now, the Civil War was 150 years ago. The boundaries of North and South have shifted, and we have a West now, too. Ohio is split. Its South is South, and its North is North, but it's increasingly becoming the South. Indiana already is the South. West Virginia is the South, and Kentucky is the South, too. The fact that most of the polls have her under 10, or have her lead under 10, and it's an open primary, means he's within striking distance. She will probably win, but he may just get a split out of it. See, that's not a win, though. And he needs those right now, by substantial margins. Further, given the reality of things, I think you have to expect her to stuff the mail-ins again. She'll win Indianapolis by a huge margin, and the numbers to overwhelm are just hard to generate, even without the reality that he's lost a lot of momentum over the last 3 weeks. I can't claim that Clinton will win, but the chances of him generating the huge turnout that he needs to overwhelm her are a lot lower than they were a few weeks ago. He might do surprisingly well, that is, he might surprise me. He'll certainly underperform relative to the racist models, who expect him to win overwhelmingly because Indiana is a primarily white state. But a win is really a giant long shot. On the Republican side, the data suggests that Trump is going to beat the snot out of Cruz again. And this is a state that Cruz should be competitive in. But the numbers suggest he really isn't. He's done. Okay? Where Sanders may get closer to a tie, Cruz will struggle to get to 35. But I want to point something out about Kasich. If you remove the obviously outlandish IPFW poll, Cruz is actually very stable in his numbers. Of the last 6 polls, 2 are at 35, and 1 is at each of 34, 33, 32, and 31. Trump, on the other hand, fluctuates between 37 and 49, while Kasich fluctuates between 13 and 22. The relationship is that as Kasich's vote goes up, Trump's goes down. And as Kasich's goes down, Trump's goes up. It seems to confirm what I've been saying. There is essentially no swing between Kasich and Cruz. The swing is between Kasich and Trump. It follows that Cruz should have begged Kasich to campaign hard in Indiana to try and split the vote. But he's a dipshit. He's ideologically opposed to things like intelligence, mathematics, cooperation, and strategy. His whole pitch for months has been that if you take Kasich out, then the anti-Trump coalition will defeat Trump. In fact, what's happened is that Kasich voters have moved to Trump. And if you were analyzing the situation through anything other than the egotism of Ted Cruz, anything other than Cruz's, anybody in the world other than Cruz's psyche, okay, and his ego would have been able to tell you that it was obvious the Kasich voters should prefer Trump over Cruz. Because Trump, as much of a problem as a Trump presidency might be, Trump is not as crazy as Cruz is. And if anybody's going to know that, it's going to be the smartest Republicans. And the smartest Republicans are your Kasich voters, right? I know that people from a distance are going to look at the situation when Trump wins big and say, this is crazy. But in reality, they made the smart choice. it's hard to see through all of the obfuscation, all of the lies. And there have been a lot of lies told about Trump over the last couple of months. All through all the media, right? And if Cruz had something going for him, it was that he had all of the money on his side, right? So he could put those media attacks out there. In truth, he probably should never really have had much attention paid to him, but because he had contacts that were very wealthy, he was able to get a disproportionate amount of attention paid to him. An unjustified amount of attention paid to him, right? So you're standing in Europe or something, you're looking at this and you're saying you don't understand. But in truth, what's happening here is that the Kasich voters are making the right choice. And, sometimes you have to leave it to the people that are more informed about what's actually happening to make the right choice. I don't have a lot of faith in democracy to get. I don't have a lot of faith in democracy to get things right, but I do have a fair amount of faith in democracy to not get things wrong, or not get things wrong in catastrophic ways. I know the media is trying to tell you that Trump is the second coming of Adolf Hitler. In reality, it's Ted Cruz that's the much greater threat, and to everything, to world peace, to minority rights, to majority rights, i.e., women's rights, and it's they're able to see that, right? They might not like Trump very much. They might think he's a dipshit too, and there's a strong argument for that, but they are able to clearly see that if it's Trump versus Cruz, then Trump is the lesser evil. And that's what I've been saying for forever. And it's coming out in the data. It's obvious.